As we plunge into the land of the dead and the Tomb Kings stir in their crypts, another battle is brewing in the grand tournament for Steel Faith Overhaul. There is a lot of chaff on the field, boys and girls, because the Goblin Tide and the Vermin Tide have come out to play, and it will be glorious. Absolutely amazing replay on the way, my friends, so stick around, there's about to be blood on the sand. On the north side, the Wa is green and the Wa is mean, and Phillus is rocking a full build of Squigs and Gobbos, anchored by a big mama spider. With a bonus first large, armor piercing, and a rock hard carapace, it's hard for even the most devastating weapon teams to punch their way through. But Czeremis and the Skaven have a Grey Seer on their side, and atop his screaming bell, Verminous Doom tolls for the Greenskins as Unholy Clamor provides a map-wide vigor and leadership buff, and a wall of unholy sound drives the Ratmen into a frenzy. He's brought Pestilent Breath, Scorch, and the Dreaded 13th Spell. Not a piece of magic we get to see very often, but when storm vermin spill forth from a rent in the fabric of reality, it's going to be a problem for the Groby. The A-Bomb is just as terrifying as ever, with 650 weapon strength and a huge HP pool, and the Skaven slaves at Swarm at his feet are feeling a whole lot more Skaven-y in SFO, with unit sizes of 280, so there are going to be a lot of bodies on the field. Plague Monks are unbreakable, but have incredibly low melee defense as they rely on the savagery of their attack to overwhelm opponents, and Warp Fire Throwers are devastating, but incredibly squishy. Nothing like vanilla, they have 300 missile damage, but a tiny HP pool, and they are true glass cannons. Squigs are born and bred for making them dinner though, so if nothing shuts them down, they will make you pay, and hard, but there are a lot of Squigs on the field, and keeping them alive is going to be tough. And for the Groby, the Night Goblin Shaman has Itchy Nuisance, Sneaky Stabbin', Curse of the Bad Moon, and Vindictive Glare, so quite an eclectic spell selection. And all Greenskins have a Wa passive separate from the standard Lord ability that basically means the longer they fight, the better their melee attack gets, but their defense takes a bit of a hit as well. They're angry mushrooms though, they don't need to know what blocking is, they don't care about that kind of stuff. They are looking real evil, and they know how to fight dirty like Skaven, whether it's in the underwear of the World's Edge Mountains, or the deserts of the Tomb Kings. So Phillus is playing the Goblins, Czeremis is playing the Skaven. Let's get into it. 2 Warp Fire Throwers and a Warp Lightning Cannon means that Clan Scryer is represented pretty heavily here, alongside 3 Plague Monks, and a metric crap ton of Skaven Slaves, which is really cool to see. This is the real Vermintide right here, man. They have a lot of numbers on the field. In fact, they don't even have summons. I think they have 3,000 troops or more on the field right now. But I'm loving the Goblin build too. Let's shift over real quick, take a look at that. So many Squig Hoppers on the field and Squig Herd, so all that armor piercing and a bunch of bonus force infantry, they will absolutely savage Plague Monks and the majority of the Ratmen front line. They've got some terror with the Arachnarok, they've got some mobility, and a whole lot of numbers. So at the very least, these guys know how to put on a show. This is going to be a really good one. So Arachnarok Spider already getting shot at by the Clan Scryer machinery, and it looks like Phillus is just going to go straight for a YOLO rush right down the center, and I'm going to love that with the Squig Hoppers, because that's what they're good at, right? Like, they don't need to flank, they can just go right up the center, make sure those Warp Fire Throwers stop shooting early, shut those down, get some great charges into the Plague Monks, and really do a ton of damage on the charge here. But you guys need a taste of what Warp Fire Throwers can do in SFO, and just watch that HP plummet on the Squig Hoppers as they bathe in green flame, getting real toasty there. And that is what 300 missile damage will do when it just completely absorbs your unit. Half of them are not going to make it out alive. They'll charge through, still get into the target they wanted to, but that hurt bad. This frontal charge, though, from the Greenskins is going to be brutal for the Skaven. A lot of Plague Monks and a lot of high-value targets getting gobbled up by Squigs right now. And those Squig Hoppers, they're fast, they're mobile, they can hit like a truck because of that AP and that bonus versus infantry, and they are a perfect target for going after Plague Monks and that kind of thing. And these Warp Fire Throwers are not going to be long for this world. Watch this, that HP just goes down to 0 pretty much off the charge, especially with Wa active. And the Greenskins are getting thick and heavy right in the center, just going right up the middle and getting in there as the Warp Lightning Cannon continues to fire in to the Arachnarok Queen. Night Goblin Shaman dropping Itchy Nuisance right in the center of the Ratman battle line. But the Grey Seer's got some Storm Vermin to summon, and that's certainly one way to shut down pesky archers in the back, right? Killed about half the unit just with the explosion, and now they'll appear out of nowhere, start butchering them. And the Savage Orc Boar Boys, the only Orc unit on the field, I think, gonna try to help them out. But that Spider is getting ravaged by the Warp Lightning Cannon, down to half health already. and the Squigs are free to go wild. I mean, they've got their pick of the litter right now in terms of targets to go after. One group of Warpfire throwers are already down. Maybe get some hammer and anvils in, help turn the infantry fight more in the Greenskins' favor, and keep getting those hammer and anvils off. Really do a lot of damage, help kill some of those storm vermin out on the left flank. Night Goblin Shaman and the Big Boss still running around. We got a monster mash in the center, but as the Screaming Bell and the Hellpit Abomination go fight there against the Spider, that cannon has not been shut down yet. And that is a huge issue for the Goblins, because their centerpiece monster is just getting butchered from close range right now, getting shot to pieces, and the Warpfire throwers are free to let it rip now too, and that is not something you want to see in SFO. It will punish you so hard, and yeah, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. An entire unit just gone. I mean, there was stuff there, not anymore. Just roasted mushrooms now, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice to see that unit actually do something for once. It's so bad in vanilla, but I want to see how Phillus and the Goblins respond here, because they just lost a lot of dudes. That volley killed over 100 easy. Well, Ragnarok has routed, and another Dreaded 13th Spell again on top of the Goblin Archers. Czeremis is really trying his best to make sure his A-bomb doesn't get shot to pieces, and that is one way to do it for sure. Those Storm Vermin will crumble, but they've got a huge HP pool. Remember that a lot of units have like 10,000 HP in Steel Faith Overhaul, so it's not going to crumble very quickly. It will be able to tie up the back lines for a long time, but Phillus is doing a very good job using that Night Goblin Shaman to tie down the Warpfire throwers, make sure they don't keep shooting, and there are some free Squigs now, free after getting a good rear charge into the back of the Skaven front line, and now they can charge in. They will eat a Warpfire volley to the face, but they will get into combat, and once they're there, it's over for the Warpfire throwers. I don't think we'll be seeing them again. I mean, that bonus versus infantry and that AP, they're just gonna gobble them up. They're gonna make them dinner, they're gonna make them a nice little snack, and that'll be the end of the weapon teams for the Ratmen. I don't think, yeah, their Warp Lightning Cannon's offline as well. So good old-fashioned magic and melee combat is what they're gonna have to rely on. But a beautiful Scorch all the way down the length of those Goblin Archers will finally silence them as well. Beautifully placed. Seriously, that was amazing. Showering the Dunes in Gobbo blood and will rout them. And that means that the range combat for the Greenskins is also offline. So, a lot of really high value targets on both sides getting shut down really well by both players. That's what you love to see. And this is going to go into the late stages for sure. There's a lot left on the field for both armies right now. The Hellpit Abomination, super low. It has proc too horrible to die, but it got very little health back from that. The Ragnarok just routed, and that's like the second or third time it's routed, so it won't be around for too much longer either. Screaming Bell is in good shape. Goblin Big Boss does not want to stick around and fight that, but Squig Herd are still free to run around and cause havoc and munch stuff up, and that's what they're good for. We got a Curse of the Bad Moon going down for the debuff. Night Goblin Shaman getting some Vindictive Glare off, and it will kill the Abomination. Getting two big spells off right there. The creature is dead, and a charge from the flank from those Savage Orc Warboys and the Wolf Riders that were Vanguard deployed in the back of the map. Gonna run down a lot of those routing Skaven troops as the Storm Vermin surge forward, try to get into the rear of those Goblins, and they're gonna rout them. Beautiful sandwich there. Nice little gobbo sandwich. Put some shiitake mushrooms on your Parmesan cheese sandwich there, and yeah, they're dead on that flank. So the Skaven can collapse back into the center, get that unholy vigor, that unholy clamor echoing throughout the battlefield, and start surrounding what remains of the Goblin army. But the Goblins are not out of this yet, not by a long shot. They've still got plenty on the field, and they've still got some free cav too. Remember that those Savage Orc Boarboy Big Guns or just Boarboys, no, those are the Big Guns. They have, no, just Boarboys. They have bonus for Slurge. So they will be able to surround that Screaming Bell and do a lot of damage here, especially if they're backed up by the Goblin Big Boss with that armor piercing and 360 weapon strength. So they might be able to take down that Screaming Bell if they put a lot of effort into it. But the Storm Vermin are surging forward now. Goblin Big Boss is not quite where he needs to be, and he doesn't want to fight Storm Vermin, that's for sure. And Wah will pop for the second time. That Night Goblin Shaman has actually gotten the second proc of that off, which means he's been in melee combat for quite a long time, which is not what you'd expect from a Lord like that, but he was fighting Warp Fire Throwers, and that's one way, for sure, to get get that Wah recharged. But some of those Goblin Archers are still in, and they're firing in, making pincushions out of the back of those Skaven formations, and it looks like the Dreaded 13th Spell, that terrifying Screaming Bell, is going to be the anchor that will be the make or break for the Skaven here. A lot of wavering on both sides. The leadership is still there for both armies. So even though there are some pretty crap troops on the field, some expendable troops, they're still around because their leaders aren't dead. They're not getting that leadership penalty. And the big boss is routed, and the Raki are now pushing their melee advantage. They're emboldened by that screaming bell. Still at the center of everything, still preaching his blasphemous teachings to the Vermintide. And the Storm Vermin are responding in kind as a hail of volleys of arrows just keep smacking that screaming bell in the face. But it's got pretty good armor value, and one Goblin Archer is probably not going to be enough to take that down by itself. But that is a Curse of the Bad Moon on a huge blob of Skaven troops, and it's actually going to go exactly where Phillus wants it to. It's not veering off target for once in its god-dang life. A Vortex is going to stay on target and actually punish really heavily a lot of those Skaven, and they are running for the hills now. That was beautiful. That was exactly what the Greenskins needed to stay in this fight. That killed a lot of troops there. You don't very often see that spell get a lot of kills, but there were a lot of jibs. That was well over 50 kills for sure, and caused a chain rout for the main line of Skaven. And now the big boss has come back, and he has local superiority around the Screaming Bell. Can the Greenskins turn this? They've got a huge advantage on the balance bar right now. Can they surround the Screaming Bell and take it down? Big Boss, Night Goblin Shaman, and some more Night Goblins all surrounding it. Now, killing it is going to be tough. It's got a relatively big HP pool. It's got good stats, but here come the Savage Orcs, and they have bonus versus large, and this is a really good engagement for the Greenskins right now. Itchy Nuisance going down as well. A lot of Skaven troops debuffed. This is looking pretty good. Look at that balance bar. It's like 70%, 75%, maybe more in the Greenskins' favor. But even though they have it surrounded, they're faltering a bit. I mean, we're seeing routing troops right now. The Goblin Big Boss is wavering. The Savage Orcs are wavering. A lot of them are faltering in the face of the fear of the dreaded 13th Bell. And a Night Goblin Shaman is not a solo combatant. It is not something that can easily take down a Screaming Bell. The Night Goblins are streaming forward too to help out their lord. But this is going right down to the wire. Even the Night Goblin Shaman is wavering, but the Night Goblins are still steady. They've got like full health or full leadership right now. And they're getting in there with the Storm Vermin who are protecting their lord. But a beautiful Pestilent Breath from the flank. It's just going to jib the entire unit. They're all dead. Literally just killed the entire unit. And that's going to turn it. That's going to turn it. That was literally 80% in the Greenskins' favor in one spell. And the fear from the Screaming Bell is going to carry the Skaven to victory here. They're going to rout everything, and right there at the end of the battle, they're going to snap victory from the jaws of defeat. Insane. Insane. Beautifully cast spells from both the Scorches and from the Pestilent Breath there at the end to turn it in his favor. Czeremis played super well that game. Phillus played really well too. The Squig Hoppers, I mean, they did a ton of damage. The Wolf Riders, we didn't see them much that battle, but they made sure that all those Skaven routing units never came back to the fight. And that's incredibly important when you fight against the Rat Men. Look at the kills on a bunch of those Hoppers. Just going right up the center, just munching through the Skaven front line. But the Warp Fire Throwers, like in a couple of volleys, 170 kills, Screaming Bell, massive amount of damage, and that Dreaded 13th was a huge boon for the Skaven in that battle. It's so cool to see that spell in action because you never see it in vanilla. But those two full units of Storm Vermin and the splash damage when they get called down, crazy. Just orbital drop, shock, bombardment straight into the middle of the Goblin line and just let the Storm Vermin go to work. Beautiful battle, awesome stuff. It looks like Czeremis will be moving on. Hope you guys enjoyed.